Hey guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be going over the melee weapon, the Halikar Wraith. Now in this weapon series, I take a weapon, I build it out, and I test that weapon on its own merits. Meaning I don't mix it with any kind of external factors that would increase weapon performance. That would be things like Warframes using abilities, pets putting statuses on enemies, things like that. I just test the weapon, built out, by itself, and I let the viewer make their own intelligent conclusions about adding those external things. On melee weapons, I will typically add a single external, which is a pet that primes for me, because most melee weapons use a mod called Condition Overload. However, the Halikar Wraith and glaives in general are one of those weird weapons that typically will not use Condition Overload. So for this melee video, I will not be using any externals whatsoever. So no priming pet. Now, a priming pet's still going to make it stronger, right? Like, you could still get a priming pet to be putting viral all over the place. But because this weapon doesn't use Condition Overload, I'm not going to do this with a priming pet. Okay, so the Halikar Wraith was suggested to us by commenter Adeptus Mechanicus, and that's why we're doing it today. We have the top commenter of the last video. It's actually two of them. They were tied. Is Matty Man and Rabidowitz. And the first commenter of the last video was JP Nathaniel. Alrighty, let's get into the Halikar Wraith here. So the Halikar Wraith is a glaive. And it was kind of a little bit of an underwhelming glaive for a long time. And then with the status rework, when they redid Blast, it's actually quite good because this is the one that had innate Blast on it. It also has some other pretty cool innate things about it. So we'll get into it here. Let's click on the upgrade. Okay, so before we get into the mods, I'm going to explain unique things about the Halikar Wraith. So first, slam attacks deal magnetic damage. Interesting. You're not going to be slamming a lot with this weapon because it's a glaive. You're probably going to be throwing it. So, it's an interesting little thing that it has that, though. It has innate blast. If we scroll all the way down, there's a bunch of different things. Glaives have all this because, this is the actual melee where you're whacking with it. And then you have like the throw. You're mostly going to be throwing it though. So I'm just going to scroll down to the thrown section. So the thrown charged attacks have innate blast. Or actually all the thrown attacks, it looks like. Doesn't have to be a charged throw. So innate blast on the bounce attacks, on the heavy attacks, on the charged attack, heavy attack. So that's very powerful. Guaranteed impact procs on throw. Thrown glaive has a % chance to disarm enemies. The % chance to disarm enemies is based on your status chance. And on testing, this does not seem to be the charged throws heavy attack where you actually like explode it midair. I could not get this to disarm a single enemy. So either I was extremely unlucky or it only happens when you're actually throwing it at an enemy and it's bouncing around on people. When I was doing that, it was disarming enemies. But anytime I threw it charged and like had it like airburst over dudes, it never disarmed anyone. So I think it's only on direct hits. Innate 1 meter punch through, and a base of a 5.1 meter range for the explosion. Now we're going to kick that out to 8.1 with a mod, but the base will be 5.1. Okay, I think that's pretty much all the unique things about it here. The unique trait, I believe, is just saying 50% chance to disarm enemies. And yeah, we can get into the mods here. Okay, so we're going to go Sacrificial Pressure for flat damage. This also gives us a little bit of a niche thing, which is 1.7 times damage to sentience. Then we're going to go Sacrificial Steel for critical chance. Now, Sacrificial Steel and Sacrificial Pressure are a set. So I typically don't like to use both of them because to use both of them on most melee builds, you actually need to put an umbral forma to fit everything. But glaives have a lot of mods that are pretty cheap, and so you can actually use both a full-ranked Sacrificial Pressure and a Sacrificial Steel, and you don't even have to have everything formed like you usually do. So because of the cheap mods for glaives, you can use both of these. And Sacrificial Pressure, even though it's flat damage, it's actually giving you more critical chance because of the set bonus to Sacrificial Steel. So they work pretty decently together, these two. Amalgam Organ Shatter is going to give us 85% critical damage and 60% heavy attack wind-up speed. Most of our attacks with the glaive is going to be heavy attacking. It's going to be charging, heavy attack, charge, heavy attack. Power Throw is going to give us +2 punch through, which we don't really care about. We're intending to detonate the glaive anyway, so we're not actually going to be directly hitting. But the bottom part of it, on consecutive throws, you get 100% throw damage. Now, the interesting thing about Power Throw is that it is multiplicative damage, but it's not exactly the same as other types of multiplicative damage. It will not apply twice to status damage like some multiplicative things in the game, like Roar, for instance. So it's multiplicative damage, but it doesn't apply twice to statuses. Now, Power Throw is a little bit of a skill ceiling weapon. It's a skill mod. So it's going to be dependent on how familiar you are with glaives. If you're just getting into glaives, this will almost do nothing for you. But if you're somewhat decent with glaives or very good with glaives, this is an extremely powerful mod. And when we go to the Simulacrum, I'll kind of show how to use Power Throw because it is a little bit confusing. Okay. Next, we're going to have Voltaic Strike for a 60/60 electric mod. The reason we're using Voltaic Strike is we need to activate our Arcane, and if we skip ahead right over here to Melee Influence, which is going to be our Arcane. On a Melee Electricity status, 20% chance for elemental melee status effects to apply to enemies within 20 meters. So that is a very powerful Arcane. It does a lot of damage, and to activate this, you just have to have an electric mod on your weapon. So that's why we're using Voltaic Strike there. All right, the next mod we're going to be using is Corrupt Charge. This is going to give us +30 initial combo and -50% combo duration. I have to admit, I went into the Halikar Wraith not knowing a lot about glaives. I didn't fully understand why combo wasn't important to a certain extent and why it's very important to another certain extent. So the combo count doesn't actually affect the normal attacks of the glaive, like the bouncing attacks, unfortunately. But it does affect the explosions. And so I had, when I was doing this video, well, before I was doing this video, when I was doing the testing for it, I was in the Simulacrum for hours just taking mods on and off, on and off, on and off, trying to see what affected what, getting my combo count really high, seeing what the damage was, doing the same thing with 0 combo count. And I got an understanding of why people use Corrupt Charge and why people don't use other mods and whatnot. And so now I understand. Corrupt Charge with the +30 initial combo will get you into a 2 times combo on every time you throw the weapon. Okay, you're not really going to get more than that, unfortunately, because every time you detonate it, it's going to get rid of your combo count. So the only way to get over that, there's probably some weird niche ways maybe that like specific Warframes have, but otherwise it would be getting a Riven that has more initial combo. Then maybe with a Riven with more initial combo, you could get to ×3, base when you throw the thing. But with Corrupt Charge, you'll be at ×2, and it doesn't seem like a lot when like normal melee weapons can get to ×12, but it's still a lot of extra damage compared to no combo. So that's why we use Corrupt Charge here. And actually the negative combo duration doesn't matter because you're going to be losing your entire combo anyway as soon as you click that heavy attack. Or the explosion button, I guess I'll call it. So, yep, that's why we're using Corrupt Charge here. Volatile Quick Return. The -4 bounce we don't care about because we're going to be manually detonating this. The +3 blast radius we do care about. This is going to kick that out to a 8.1 meter blast radius when we detonate the weapon, which is really powerful. And the other part of this we also don't care about. Plus 100% chance to explode on a bounce. We're not intending to hit dudes directly. We're going to be manually detonating this, so that doesn't matter. So the only thing that matters in Volatile Quick Return is the +3 blast radius. And then finally, in the last mod slot, we're going to be going for Killing Blow. Killing Blow is going to give us 120% melee damage on heavy attacks and a 60% heavy attack wind-up speed. All right. Let's go over the stance up top. I tried out both of these stances, and the regular attacks are different, but I could not tell any difference in the throwing attacks. If anyone has any insight between Astral Twilight and Gleaming Talon on the throwing attacks, please let me know, but I could not tell any difference. I'm going to go with Astral Twilight for like no reason whatsoever, because I don't really see a difference between Astral Twilight and Gleaming Talon. But yeah. In the Exilus slot, oh my goodness, this was another slot that I tested for about an hour and a half. So the Exilus slot here, I did a lot of things. I first tested to see if Tennokai could be used with glaives, and you could get that heavy attack for free, and then you could maintain your combo count and, you know, keep throwing and have a higher combo count. And I did that with, well, first I did it with Disciple's Merit, because I thought maybe if I could have it consistently happen at 4 hits, it would be like something that I would know is coming up, right? 4 hits, and then I do my big blast attack. The problem is, even though this weapon has punch through, and even though you're hitting multiple targets, it doesn't count as multiple hits for Disciple's Merit. Disciple's Merit needs like 4 different direct throw hits for it to actually give you a Tennokai attack. And then it gives you a Tennokai attack, and before you can even throw it, it's gone. It doesn't last long enough. And I tried to make it quicker. I put like I put Whirlwind on one of the regular slots, and it still wasn't working appropriately. So yeah, that didn't work. Then I tried Opportunity's Reach, and I said, well, maybe Opportunity's Reach will give me a full 4 seconds to press the heavy attack button. It's going to be more random, but, you know, maybe it'll work. And it doesn't work. You get some, like, weird thing that happens when you click your Tennokai button where your dude just kind of glows. I don't exactly know what the hell is going on with it. Maybe they just didn't want glaives to be able to Tennokai. That's kind of my conclusion with my testing. Like, it wasn't working appropriately, so I'm pretty sure they just don't want glaives to be able to Tennokai. I also tested Guardian Derision. So you get plus 30 combo count chance when you're blocking. So with this, you would just be basically holding your block button while you're doing your little glaive gameplay. It works. It works okay. You're not technically blocking while the glaive's out, but when the glaive comes back, you're blocking for, like, you know, for a brief amount of time. And in that brief amount of time, you are gaining a little bit of combo, but it's not enough to actually get you anywhere near ×3. So for that reason, Guardian Derision was just kind of garbage. And I ended up just going with Dispatch Overdrive. This is not technically a DPS increase, so you could just go without it if you don't want this. But on a heavy attack hit, which is going to be all the time because you're going to be manually exploding your glaive, you're going to get 60% movement speed for 15 seconds. So a little bit of free movement speed there. Yeah, I tried a lot of the Exiluses, and they just weren't working appropriately, or they were working too weakly, like Guardian Derision. So, okay, I think that's everything on the mods. I want to go in the Simulacrum now and just kind of show some of the things off here.
The multitude of creatures you have immortalized would cry out in thanks, if they...
Actually, there was one Exilus mod. I want to go over this one Exilus mod real quick. There was one potential to increase DPS, but I don't believe it's a good one. Okay, so we were talking about the Exilus slot here, Dispatch Overdrive. There is one other called Whirlwind, increases your projectile speed. Well, technically, if your glaive can come back to you quicker, you can throw it again quicker. So this is technically a DPS increase, but because we're using power throw, you need to time your retrieving of your glaive, and it's easier if the glaive is at normal speed. And so for that reason, I feel like Whirlwind is not good for the normal or even above average dude. If you are like really friggin' good though, and you're really on point about catching your glaive, you could technically use Whirlwind and Power Throw and get even more DPS out of it. But I think for the normal player and even the normal like above average player, Whirlwind is actually going to hinder you from catching Power Throw. Okay, so I want to explain how Power Throw works first. So on consecutive throw, you get 100% throw damage, and it stacks 3 times. And it's multiplicative. That's a lot of friggin' damage. Well, how do we get this to work? All right, if you look in the top right, I have no buffs up there, right? And if I throw my glaive, oh, I still have no buffs. I still didn't activate Power Throw. So how do I actually activate Power Throw? Well, when the glaive is coming back to me, I have to have my finger on E. I have to be holding E. So you're going to see, I'm going to hold E this time. So it's coming back. I'm holding E. Throw it again. See, one times. Throw it again. 2 times. Throw it again. 3 times. Hold it again. And it stays at 3 now. As soon as I let go, though, look, it went away. And you can do the same thing with manually detonating it. So now I'm going to throw it, but I'm going to manually detonate it out there. And the same thing is, as when it comes back, I just have to have my finger holding E. So I'm going to throw it, detonate it, throw it, detonate it, throw it, detonate it. I'm at 3 times now. I could stay at 3 times forever if I want to. But then as soon as I stop holding E when it comes back, it'll go away. So this is going to be a pretty easy thing to do at medium ranges. However, this becomes harder to do when enemies are super close to you. Like you see this like pillar right here. If dudes are that close to you and you're trying to detonate your glaive, sometimes it's coming back so quickly that you don't really have time to like have your finger holding E. So at close ranges, it's not as consistent because you might not be able to stay at 3 times. But if you get good at it, I mean, you can kind of like yeah, I'm at 3 here. And I just, oh, did I lose it? No, I still have it. Okay, I still have it. But it's a little bit more difficult at that close range. So let's show off the differences in damage as well. So I'm going to just spawn in 20 heavy gunners, 225. And we'll just throw 1 glaive. We'll air burst it right over these dudes. So 7,000. I saw most of them take 7,000 damage. So we're going to let we actually don't have any conditionals. That 60% is just the movement speed on heavy attack. So now I'm going to throw it this way, and I'm going to get to ×3, and I'm going to turn around, and I'm going to air burst it again to over them, and you'll see the difference in damage. So again, most of them took 7,000 with the yellow crits. All right, I think we're at 3 here. So 28 I saw. That was a little bit messy. Let me try it again there. Hold on. Yeah, 28,000 for the yellow crits. So it went from 7,000 to 28,000. So it's a very powerful upgrade to damage if you can maintain that that playstyle. It's a little bit more of a skill ceiling type playstyle, but it is a large increase in damage. So, okay, let me, I'm not actually going to show off the stances because there's not really much difference and they kind of suck. Like you're not really going to be melee attacking with glaives. You're going to be throwing it. And just remember, glaives have a few different ways you can throw them. You can throw them and just let them hit dudes, which is kind of cool. But we're going to be actually manually detonating it. So we're going to be pressing the middle mouse button or the heavy attack button whenever we decide it's at the appropriate range. So like if I wanted to hit this group here, maybe I'd aim a little bit above them, and I'd go like that. So, okay. Let's go back to Orbiter, and then we're going to start the 10-minute of Mott that we're doing. Okay, again, I'm not mixing this with any kind of externals, so I'm going to be doing this on a big dumb Inaros with no Archon shards that increase weapon performance. No mods or arcanes on the Inaros that increase weapon performance. And with a pet, with no sentinel weapon, and no mods on the pet that increase weapon performance. I went back to this little skin for my pet. This is such a cool little skin if you like gardens and flowers. This is in the Zaramon, the chick that sells furniture. This is actually like at the bottom of her inventory. It's kind of a hidden skin. I didn't find this until like probably a couple months after the content had come out. So, alrighty. Let's go to solo. We're going to do Steel Path, and we're going to do Mott. Now, of course, this can be stronger if you're viral priming before you do the glaive. Or if you just have a pet, like a ranged pet that's viral priming, or a Panzerwelpfeiler. Any of those things. Any kind of viral proc on the enemy is going to make them take a lot more damage. So, I won't be using any abilities. And yeah, we'll just we'll get this done here.
I'm sending life support capsules your way.
All right, looks like they're all coming from. Well, there's some down there. Now, my experience on glaives is very limited, so you might see me not staying at a 3x power throw like all the time. But as you play glaives more, you'll get better at it. I just don't play glaives a lot, which is why basically until today I had a very limited knowledge of glaives. I like to play weapons that are bad and make them good. And I know that glaives have always been strong, so I've always stayed away from glaives because of that. I'm like, oh, glaives are so good, I don't want to play them. Melee Elementalist is another mod that is pretty close to being on that build. If you had a way to compress some of your mods, like with a Riven, you could consider Melee Elementalist as well. That's a good room right here. Big circular room. You can self-stagger yourself with this. Just keep that in mind. Yeah, I was really trying to find a way to like stay at 12 times and not lose my combo when I threw it. But I think generally there's really not a great way to do that. There's probably, like I said, there's probably some Warframe that has an ability that does it. I was thinking maybe Ash, because Ash has an ability where it's like after finisher attacks, you get initial combo, and so like you'll basically just stay at whatever the hell you are. So like Ash could be a good combo with Glaives. I just didn't test it myself with Ash. I think it would work though. Ash might be one of the dudes you could stay at 12 times combo with the Glaive. And still heavy attack like this.
Only I, Thor, know the true power of the void.
If that's the case, he could be the best Glaive user.
It is time. I will teach these trespassers the redemptive power of my Janus key. They will learn its simple.
Like I said, my experience with Glaives is somewhat limited. So don't make fun of my gameplay too much. Maybe I'm not appropriately gathering enemies up and throwing it like I should. But I'm trying. Or self-staggering myself. I know Inaros has a status immunity. I'm just not going to use it.
Extraction is available if you need it.
Six minutes. Trying to remember to catch my Glaive when it comes back to me so I can keep Arrow Throw at least a 1 or a 2 times. If it's at 3 times, that's even better, but even at a 1 or a 2 times, it's strong.
They will resist, but I, Thor, will cleanse this place of their impurity. This death is temporary. My existence is forever. I cannot be destroyed.
I really like this weapon, though, and it's given me a chance to get a little bit more familiar with Glaives. Something else to note is that you do have to be careful with statuses. On certain weapons, and Glaives are one of them. So it's a slow shooting weapon. It's not really shooting, you're throwing it. But it's a slow weapon because, you're not, like, throwing it like a machine gun. And so you don't want to have, like, 500 statuses on your weapon because you're only going to be producing, like, 1 every throw. So, like, right now we have Blast and Electric, which is enough. Like, I feel like that's really all you need on it. If you want viral, you should be getting that through externals. And I'm not showing externals because I don't do that on my videos. But I feel like if you wanted to get viral on this, you should get an external way to do that. Either prime yourself or get a pet primer. Because those blast procs are very powerful. You're getting a lot of damage from those. I don't know if you've noticed, but usually when one dude dies, the entire pack dies around them. And it's because of that, the blast. The other pretty cool thing about glaives is that there's not a lot of conditionals on them, and you have like the initial combo, so you don't even need to build up combo because you just initially have it. So it's actually pretty decent for a secondary or a primary focused build where you don't have your melee out all the time, because you can just switch to it, throw it, and it's basically at full strength. You don't have to worry about like, oh, I don't have my conditionals up, so it's going to be pretty doo-doo until I get some combo count.
We will all share in this
Alright,
bounty.
so we're at 10 minutes now.
As long as you can.
Start heading to extract, and then we'll check our kill count here. So our 1,035 kills. Pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Again, my use of glaives is extremely limited, so I maybe wasn't picking the best tile sets or positioning myself the best. But this is a very powerful weapon, and I like it. I really like this weapon.
Critical life support levels. Extraction is your best option.
I think someone needs a friend to come in, so gotta get that guy into the clan. All right. If you liked the video, consider giving it a like. If you haven't subbed yet, consider subbing or tell me what I can do to earn your sub. And I hope you guys have an amazing day.